Hey, how you doing? Adam here. The date is currently 10/31/2016, 11:07 p.m. And it just occurred to me actually, because I just tried to do another, it was a thing where I started talking, but, I didn't like what I was saying, so I had to start over on the journal. It occurred to me, why don't I ever, just, fix the audio issues before I start doing the journal? I don't know why I don't do that. It's not like it's going to affect my flow or whatever, but, I don't know. As I was beginning to mention on the last one, I kept watching this clip of Ultimate Warrior. I think it had to have been a couple months ago. I don't think it was right after he died. It was a couple months ago, because I think he died in 2014 or whatever. Or if not that, it was 2015. It was a year or so ago. But I kept watching these clips on YouTube of him. He kept, there was a clip show of his greatest moments or whatever. And they kept showing this one clip of him, he was in a white sort of fucking thing. The wrestlers, they always wear the underwear. And he was wearing white underwear in this particular instance, and he was doing these bodybuilder poses, but there was a split second of one of the poses that he was doing, where it was he could just oh my god, I don't know if anybody else could sense this, but I could sense in him that he was nervous in this one moment where he was doing this bodybuilder pose. I don't know if it was just his body language or just something about the way he posed, but he just looked nervous for a second. And it made me think of that ASMR thought I once had that I posted on Facebook one time about how it's ASMR has something to do with liberal politics and rocks crunching on a VHS tape. It has something to do with that. The way he was posing, and just actually a lot of wrestling in general. Just I don't know why I think of this imagery, but I just think of Hulk Hogan with a wiping his hands or something, getting the job done. But the thing is, he's not doing anything. It's something about the fakeness of wrestling and Hulk Hogan's fucking fake tan, or if I don't know, it might be a real tan. Something about that, and just getting the job done. Wipe my hands of that. And I see dust. I see some kind of white dust on his hands. He's get the job done. And something about ASMR there, and also liberal politics. Fitting round peg into a square hole, trying to really jam something in there that doesn't fit. It feels that's two sides of the same coin, where it's some things are just flowy and they're flowery and they just flow, but other things are they just do not fucking fit. And something about Hulk Hogan wiping his hands of that, and eating a piece of steak. What does the steak mean? What is this fucking steak have to do with this? And something about him being a real manly man, or no, something about him but it's all an act. And his glazed turkey skin. That was another update that I made. Something about Hulk Hogan's glazed turkey skin, and I'm gonna white. I don't know what I'm doing. You just have to forgive me. But it was just something about that, the feeling of all of that nonsense that I just said. Something about the feeling of that and ASMR and the Ultimate Warrior doing this pose. He was doing a pose, but you could tell that he was nervous doing the pose. It was one of those bodybuilder poses where he's flexing his forearm. Something about that. But he looked nervous in the moment, and I could tell that he was nervous. Like I could feel his nervousness, empathize with his nervousness. Yeah, so it had something to do with that. And just somehow that feels important to me. I don't know why it feels important, but that thought, or just that feeling, it feels like it's significant somehow. Yeah, wipe his hands of that. Took care of that, but it was all an act. Like something about the fact that Hulk, it's like his bad acting in wrestling. Because, I mean, most wrestlers are just horrific actors. But, you know, it's like he's wiping his hands of that one. And the fact that he's like a fucking gigantic person and just like he's, rah, rah, and I took care of that one. And he's got a big piece of meat ready for his wife. In some kind of, but it's all an act, but it's not real is the thing. It's just something about it not being real. God, I'm just like really hoping that feeling in my head that I'm trying to get out is making sense to somebody. You know, it's something about being under pressure too. Like how you act under pressure. Like sometimes it's, you know, you just make a fucking fool of yourself when you're under pressure. Sometimes you don't rise to the occasion. And you sort of fold and you just like make a coward. You're just like cowardly. And you know, it shows and there's nothing you can do about it. It just shows. And other times you flower under pressure. You know what I mean? You just fucking expand under pressure. So there's some kind of tie-in with that. And it's like, you know, it's two sides of the same coin. Yeah, I think I actually noticed Ultimate Warrior's nervousness more. Because of just you know, it's like you have so many different sources of knowledge these days. So, you know, you have a very broad perspective on, a much broader perspective than you would have had on things, just because of the internet. Just, you know, you can see things from a much broader perspective. You know, because you're not locked into your own little world anymore. So, you know, you can see when you know, you get much easier tell when somebody's being insincere these days. Than you could have like in the 80s or 90s. You can really, it's really just easy to spot somebody's insincerity. And you know, that's probably, actually I think I just figured it out. That's probably the reason why it's so difficult to, you know, do anything in the world these days, is because it's so easy to spot your insincerity. Like you can't get away with bullshit anymore. I was actually just watching a Charlie Brown Christmas. Don't ask me why I was watching that. Well, I mean, it is kind of close to Christmas. Yeah, but I was actually just watching that, and like if you really examine it, it is fucking horribly written. Like, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason to anything. Fucking 1 minute Charlie Brown is directing a play, and then, like, you know, the next minute he's out shopping for a Christmas tree, and you have no idea why he is. And just, you know, people get just run on sentences and just saying things out of context, and there's just, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. And nobody would get away with that shit these days. I really think the only reason people are nostalgic for that, and why it's like a holiday mainstay, is solely because of the theme song. Because, you know, Christmas time is here. Na 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 na. That one. I don't know why I hummed that much of it. I didn't need to do that. But yeah, that's the only reason why that's anywhere. You know, that's why the only reason anybody hasn't just like completely forgotten about it. Actually, it's a couple of those like holiday specials. They're just not that good. uh, the only the only redeeming thing about the Charlie Brown Christmas one, the only memorable part of that is the fucking Christmas tree at the end. It's the only part of that that's even remotely memorable. So yeah. So that's there's bad. And actually, if you listen to a lot of the music from like the '70s, there's just very few and far between like good things. Like a lot of stuff is just bad, and you didn't have to be as real back in the day. So it's much easier to spot your insincerity these days. So that's why it's more difficult to get like jobs or whatever. That's why a lot of people are unemployed. That's my theory anyway, as to why unemployment is especially among younger people is higher, because the perspective is broader, and so people can spot insincerity much easier. Okay, goodbye.